Good morning, everyone. Good morning, sir. I am Jollibee Bactol, BSF 1B. And this is my second topic. It's all about the point and texture. So let's talk about the point first. A point is a visual element upon which all others are based. It can be defined as singularity in space. So, tinutukoy bilang sapat na singularidad and space or geometric terms. The area where two coordinates met when an artist marks a sample point on a surface, also referred to as the ground. They immediately create figure ground. So, kaagad na gumawa sila ng figure ground relationship. That is, they divide the work between each surface and anything added to it. Our eyes differentiate between the two. And their arrangement has everything to do with how we see a final composition. The point itself can be used as a way to create forms. For example, pointillism is a style of painting and made famous by French artist Georges Seurat. So, ang pointillism kuno is style ang nagbuhat do ani ang pinaka-famous is gikan sa French si Georges Seurat in the late 19th century. So katong 19th century pa daw na siya nabuhat. He and others and the pointillism group create paintings by juxtaposing. So ang uban daw nga mga pointillism group naghimo daw sila og group paintings by juxtaposing points or dots of colors that optically mix to form lines, shapes, and forms within a composition. Look at the details from Seurat's La Parade du Cercle to see how this works. His large canvas Sunday afternoon on the Grand Jotel links to an external side. It is testament to the pointillism styles and aesthetic. Its creation was painstaking process, but one that generated new way of thinking about color and form. So, next is the texture. Texture is the tactile sense we get from the surface of a shape or volume, such as smooth, rough, or velvety, or prickly. So, the meaning of tactile is the sense of touch or padamdam sa Tagalog. Velvety is pelos or sa English think daghan siya og meaning sa velvety. Think kanang baga pareha ng nylon, examples nylon. The real surface qualities we perceive by running a hand over an object. Visual and implied sense of texture created by artists through the manipulation of their materials. So, sa pamamagitan daw sa pagpapatakbo ng mga materials. An artwork can include many different visual, texture, and still feel smooth to the touch. So, ang artwork daw kuno, pwede ko na siya, may makahimo og different visual texture. Robert Rauschenberg makes media print Skyway links to an internal sites, includes rough and smooth visual textures that add layers of perception and animate the work. An artwork can include many different visual texture and still feel smooth to touch. Robert Rauschenberg makes media print Skyway links to internal includes rough and smooth visual texture and add layers of perception and animate the work, drawing attention to specific areas within it. So, a self-portrait by Vincent van Gogh below. So, ang self-portrait daw is gikan kay Vincent van Gogh. Swirls with actual texture create with brushstrokes loaded with pen. The artist fixed his gaze sternly at the viewer, his peaky red beard and flowing hair rendered so texturally you want to reach out and touch them. And that's all. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. I'm Faithrin Zaldivar from BSF 1B, and my report is about definitions and qualities of line. Essentially, when you put two or more points together, you create a line. A line can be literally defined as a point in motion. There are many different types of lines, all characterized by their length being greater than with their width. Lines can be static or dynamic depending on how the artist chooses to use them. They help determine the motion, direction, and energy in a work of art. Look at the photograph to see how lines is part of natural and constructual environment. In Chris Kotsiopoulos' digital image of a lightning storm, we can see many different lines. Certainly, the jagged, meandering lines of the lightning itself dominate the image, followed by the straight lines of the light standard, the pillars holding up the overpass on the right and the guardrails attached on its side. There are more subtle lines too, like the gentle arc line at the top of the image and the shadow cast by the poles and the standing figure in the middle. Lines are even implied by falling water droplets in the foreground. The NASA lines in the arid coastal plains of Peru date to nearly 500 BCE were scratched into the rocky soil, depicting animals on the incredible scale, so large that they are best viewed from the air. Diego Las Vegas Las Meninas from 1656, ostensibly by portrait of the Infanta Margareta, the daughter of King Philip IV and Queen Mariana of Spain, offers a sumptuous amount of artistic genius. Its sheer size, almost 10 feet square, painterly style of naturalism, lightning effect, and the enigmatic figures placed throughout the canvas, including the artist himself, is one of the great paintings on Western art history. Examine to uncover how Velázquez uses basic elements and principles of art to achieve such masterpiece. Actual lines are those that are physically present. The edge of the wooden sculpture bar at the left of Las Meninas is an actual line, as are the picture frames and the backgrounds and the linear decorative elements on some of the figures' dresses. Implied lines are those created by visually connecting two or more areas together. The space between the Infanta Margareta, the bland central figure in the composition, and the meninas or the maids of honor to the left and right of her are implied lines. Both set up diagonal relationship that implies movement. By visually connecting the space between the shade of all the figures in the painting, we have a sense of jog motion that keeps the lower part of the composition in motion balanced against the darker, more static upper areas of the painting. Implied lines can also be created when two areas of different colors or tones came together. Implied lines are found in the three-dimensional artworks too. The sculpture of Leucon below, a figure from Greek and Roman mythology, is, along with his son, being struggled by sea snakes sent by the goddess Athena as run against his warning to the Trojans not to accept the Trojans' horse. The sculpture set implied lines in motion as the figures writhed in agony against the snakes. Straight or classic lines provide structure to composition. They can be oriented to the horizontal, vertical, or diagonal axis of a surface. Straight lines are by nature visually stable, while still giving direction to the composition. In the Las Meninas, you can see them in the canvas supports on the left of the wall supports and doorway on the right, and in the background of the matrices on the wall space between the framed pictures. Moreover, the small horizontal lines created in the stair edges in the background help anchor the entire visual design of the painting. Straight line. Expressive lines are curved, adding an organic, more dynamic character to a work of art. Expressive lines are often grounded and follow undermined paths. In Las Meninas, you can see them in the aprons on the girls' dresses and in the dog's folded hind leg and the coat pattern. Look again at the locum to see expressive lines in the figure, flailing limbs, and the sinews from the snakes. Indeed, the sculpture seems to be made up of nothing but expressive lines, shapes, and forms. Organic lines. Outline or contour line on the simplest of these. They create a path around the edge of the shape. In fact, outlines define shapes. Outline. Cross contour lines followed paths across a shape to delineate differences in surface features. They give flat shapes as scenes of form, the illusions of three dimensions, and can also be used to create shading. Hatch lines are repeated at short intervals in generally one direction. They give shading and visual texture of the surface of an object. Cross hatch lines provide additional tone and texture. They can be oriented in any direction. Multiple layers of cross-hatch lines can give rich and varied shading to objects by manipulating the pressure of the drawing tool to create a large range of values. Line quality is the sense of character embedded in the way a line presents itself. Certain lines have qualities that distinguish them from others. Hard-edged jag lines have a staccato visual movement, while organic, flowing lines create a more comfortable feeling. Meandering lines can be either geometric or expressive, and you can see in the examples how their indeterminate paths animate a surface to different degrees. Although line as a visual element generally plays a supporting role in the visual art, they are a wonderful example in which line carries a strong cultural significance as the primary subject matters. Calligraphic lines use quickness and gesture more akin to paint strokes to imbue an artwork with a fluid lyrical character. To see this unique line quality, view the work of Chinese poet and artist Dong Qichang Diofu's poem, dating from the Ming Dynasty 1555 to 1637. A more geometric example from the Korangium, created in the Arabic calligraphy style, dates from the 9th centuries. Both these examples show how artists use line as both a form of writing and a visual art form. American artist Mark Tobey, 1890 to 1976, was influenced by Oriental calligraphy, adapting its form to the act of pure painting within a modern abstract style described as white writing. That's all. Thank you.
Good day, sir. Good day, everyone. My report is about the shapes, positive, negative, and planar issues. Definition. A shape is defined as an enclosed area in two dimensions. By definition, shapes are always implied and a flat in nature. They can also be made by surrounding an area with other shapes or the placement of different textures next to each other. For instance, the shape of an island surrounded by water. Positive shape. Positive shape is mao na siya ang figure. The figure. Term used to describe the figure or object. Represent the space where object exists. This image is the example of the positive shapes. If you're seeing faces, ang white is mao na ang negative shape. Then, ang black is the positive shape. Ang positive shape, mao na ang figure, kanang hitsura or postura. Then, ang negative is mao na ang background sa figure. Negative shape, the ground. Moto siya ang kanang background sa figure. The term used to describe the background. The space that surrounds the positive shape and composition. Sa mga to siya. Ang negative shape is mo na siya ang ground sa figure sa positive. This is the example of negative shape. The shape around the positive is called negative. This image is nakabalot siya og black ang figure. Ang black is mao na pud na siya ang negative. Then ang figure niya is white man, so mao na siya ang positive shape.
I am Luigi Matas from BSF 1B. So my topic was all about mass. Mass is the opposite of space. They define each other and depends upon each other for visual existence. Mass can be earth forms, rock outcrops, and boulders. Trees and shrub groups, buildings and water forms, stream lakes or waterfalls. Mass become extremely important when we are working with balancing our design. Mass is a form refers to a shape of three-dimensional volume that has or gives the illusion of having weight, density, or bulk. The distinction between two and three-dimensional object is a shape by definition flat but takes on the illusions of mass through shading with the element of value or color. In three dimensions, a mass is an actual object that take up space. Eugene de Laplanche sculpture The Eve After the Fall from 1869. The characteristics of three-dimensional mass is carved from stone with exaggerated physicality to appear bigger than life. The work stands heavily against the space around it. De Laplanche balances the massive sculpture by his treatment of the subject matter. Eve sits her body turned on two diagonal planes, one raising, the other descending, her right hip being the meeting point of the two. She raised her head and her hand as she agonized over the consequences of what she just done. The forbidden apple at her feet as the serpent slinks away to her. So this is this, the picture of the Eve after the fall in 1869 by Eugene de la Planche. Although actual mass and form are physical attributes to any three-dimensional work of art, they are manifested differently depending on the sculpture on the they are produced in. Thank you.
Hello everyone. So by the way, my name is baby girl Stefanio Iligan. I am from BSF 1B. So I have given this topic about the space. So now let's proceed. So what is space in art? So space in a work of art refers to a feeling of depth of three dimensions. It can also refer to the artist's use of the area within the picture plane. The area around the primary objects in a work of art is known as negative space, while the space occupied by the primary object is known as the positive space. So, ang positibong espasyo ay ang lugar o bahagi ng komposisyon ng likhang sining na sumasakop sa paksa. Halimbawa, ang positibong puwang ay maaring isang florera ng mga bulaklak na isang bahay sa pagpipinta, isang mukha ng isang tao o isang larawan, o mga puno at burol ng isang tanawin. Ang lugar sa paligid ng positibong puwang ay tinatawag na negatibong espasyo. Positive and negative space. So, the relationship of positive to negative space can greatly affect the impact of a work of art. In this drawing, as you can see, the man and his shadow occupy the positive space, while the white space around him is the negative space. The disproportionate amount of negative space accentuates the figure's vulnerability and isolation. So the three-dimensional space. So this picture shows the perfect illusion of three-dimensional space. In a two-dimensional work of art is something that may artists such as Peter Seinredam labored to achieve. The illusion of space is achieved through perspective drawing techniques and shadings. So that's all for today. I hope you learned something. Thank you.
Good day everyone, I am Roshini Banga and today we will tackle about colors. When light waves strike an object and reflect back to the optic nerve in a human eyes, the sensation they perceive is called color. Our modern understanding of light and colors begins with Isaac Newton in the year 1642 to 1726. Color theory appeared in 17th century. Isaac Newton discovered that white light could be divided into a spectrum by passing it through a prism. He is the first to understand the rainbow, and he also discovered components of colors. The components of colors that Isaac Newton discovered are red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and violet. Traditional model. Theory is a qualitative attempt to organize colors under relationships. It is based on Newton's color wheel and continues to be the most common system used by artists. The basic tool used is the color wheel. It was developed by Isaac Newton in 1666. The study of color in art and design often starts with color theory. Color theory splits up colors into three categories. The three categories are primary, secondary, and tertiary. The primary color include red, blue, and yellow. These are the elemental colors, meaning they cannot be mixed from other colors. All other colors are derived from some combination of these three, which means these colors are the source of all other colors. So, secondary color are mixed from two primary color on the color wheel. According to the traditional color wheel, so the red and yellow color mixed, so it produced orange color. While blue and yellow mixed, it produced color green. And lastly, when blue and red combined, it produced violet color. So again, secondary color is a color made by mixing of two primary colors. And the secondary colors are orange, green, and violet. Next is tertiary color. Tertiary color is a color produced by an equal mixture of a primary color with a secondary color. So ang tertiary color is a combination of primary and secondary color. So meaning, ang tertiary color na-produce siya by combining the two categories, the primary and secondary colors. Example of tertiary colors are blue-green, blue-violet, red-orange, red-violet, yellow-orange, yellow-green. Our next slide is about white and black. They are used to lighten or darken a color. A lighter color made by adding white to it is called a tint, while a darker color made by adding black is called a shade. Some consider that white and black are colors, but technically they are not. They can be used to create lighter or darkened colors. And next, we have color mixing. Color mixing is more quantifiable approach to color theory. Is to think about color as the result of light reflecting off a surface. Understood in this way, color can be represented as a ratio of amounts of primary color mixed together. There are two types of mixing color. First is additive and subtractive. Mixing colors typically describe of three primary colors and three secondary colors. So additive color is a theory used when different colored lights are being projected on top of each other. Projected media produce color by projecting light onto a reflective surface. So meaning, additive color involves the mixing of color light. Nag-refer siya sa color of the light. For example, ang television screen ang theater lighting. Muna siya example sa additive color. Subtractive color is a color works as a reverse of additive color theory. So if ang additive color nag-refer siya sa color of light, so ang subtractive color nag-refer pud siya sa mixing of color paints, pigments, or inks. We have color attributes. Color attributes has its own appearance based on the 3K colors. 3K attributes. First is who refers to color itself, but also to the variations of colors. So, nara ang examples. Next is value. As discussed previously, refers to the relative lightness or darkness of one color next to another. Kani siya is same siya sa itong white and black. They can be used to create lighter or darker colors. Next is saturation, refers to the purity and intensity of a color. We have color interactions. Beyond creating a mixing hierarchy, color theory also provides tools of understanding how colors work together. Meaning, color has a relationship to another colors also. It will interact or affect each other. Monochrome is the simplest color interaction. Monochrome means one color. Monochrome artwork is one that includes only one color. Ang advantage sa monochrome is naa siya'y high level of unity in terms of artwork. Next is analogous color are similar to one another. As their name implies, analogous color can be found next to one another on any 12 part of color wheel. Color temperature. Colors are perceived to have temperatures associated with them. The color wheel is divided into warm and cool colors. Based on my research, color temperature refers to the appearance of light provided by a light bulb. Based on Kelvin number scale, the higher the color temperature, the cooler, while lower temperature will produce a warmer. Next is complementary colors are found directly opposite one another on a color wheel. Example colors are purple and yellow, green and red, orange and blue. Complementary colors mao ni siya ang pair of colors, which is pag i-combined or mixed ang pair of colors, mag-create siya og strongest contrast for two colors. Next is split contemporary colors. Is a scheme uses one color plus the two colors on each side of the first colors complement on the color wheel. So, ang split complementary scheme takes up a base color and two secondary colors. Then, it is also a versatile, pleasant, and easy po siya to achieve. Next, we have color subtraction. Color subtraction refers to a visual phenomenon where the appearance of one color will lessen its presence in a nearby color. Simultaneous contrast. Neutrals is a neutrals on a colored background will appear tint toward the color's complement because the eye attempts to create a balance. So that's all. I hope you learned a lot from our topic about colors.